phone call came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was reviewing quarterly projections in my office. "Amanda, we need to talk about the engagement party," my sister Kristen said without preamble. "No hello, no how are you, just straight to business." "Okay," I said, setting down my pen. "What about it?" "You can't come." I blinked at my computer screen, processing the words. "I'm sorry, what?" "The engagement party this Saturday. You can't attend. Brandon and I discussed it and we think it's better if you sit this one out." "Why?" I kept my voice neutral, though my stomach had started to knot. Kristen sighed, that particular sigh she used when she thought she was being patient with me. "You're too embarrassing to attend. Brandon's parents are very successful people. His father is a senior VP at a tech company, his mother runs corporate operations. They have standards. And well, you're not exactly polished." I looked down at my jeans and Georgetown hoodie, my standard work-from-home outfit when I didn't have meetings. "Kristen, It's not just the clothes, Amanda. It's everything. You work from home doing freelance tech stuff. You drive a 15-year-old Honda. You live in that tiny apartment. Brandon's family is going to wonder why my sister is so unsuccessful." "I see. I knew you'd understand," she said, relief evident in her voice. "The whole family backed her up anyway. Mom and Dad agree it's better if you don't come. They don't want you to feel uncomfortable around Brandon's family." "How considerate." "Exactly. I'm glad you're being mature about this. We'll do a separate dinner, just us, after the wedding. Something casual where you'll fit in better." She hung up before I could respond. I sat in my home office, the converted second bedroom of my tiny apartment, which was actually a 1,800 square foot penthouse I owned in a building I'd purchased 3 years ago, and considered my options. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Kristen told us. We think it's for the best. You understand, don't you, sweetheart?" Then my father. "Sorry, kiddo. Sometimes we have to make sacrifices for family. Kristen's happiness is important." I turned back to my computer and opened my company directory. Foster Technology Solutions. 2,400 employees across 8 offices. Annual revenue, $340 million. And there, in the executive listings, Robert Chin, Senior VP of Product Development. Linda Chin, VP of Operations. Brandon Chen's parents, who worked for my company. I pulled up their personnel files. Both excellent employees, both up for significant promotions in the next review cycle. Robert was being considered for Executive VP. Linda was in line for Senior VP. I opened my email and sent a message to my Chief Operating Officer. "Please schedule a meeting with me and the Chens for Friday at 2 p.m. Topic: their quarterly presentation to me regarding the new product pipeline. I want to review it personally before the weekend." She responded immediately. "Scheduled. They'll be thrilled. They've been hoping to present directly to you." I smiled. They had no idea who I was. Saturday evening, I parked my old Honda across the street from the country club where Kristen's engagement party was being held. I wasn't going inside, I'd been uninvited after all. But I was curious to see the event my sister thought I'd ruin. At her engagement party, I watched through the floor-to-ceiling windows as my family mingled with Brandon's relatives. The ballroom was decorated beautifully, white and gold, very elegant. Kristen looked beautiful in her emerald cocktail dress, hanging on Brandon's arm, introducing him to relatives and family friends. My parents were working the room, clearly trying to impress Brandon's family with stories of their successful daughters. Well, daughter singular, I supposed. I watched my mother laugh at something Brandon's aunt said, her hand touching the woman's arm in that way she had of making people feel special. My father was deep in conversation with what looked like Brandon's father. Tall, distinguished, clearly comfortable in his expensive suit. They were probably bonding over business and success. Her fiancé's parents arrived late, rushing in at 7:30 looking slightly harried but professional. Robert Chin in his suit, tie loosened just slightly. Linda Chin in a beautiful navy dress, carrying her laptop bag, the one I'd seen her carry into countless meetings at headquarters. I was too far away to hear through the glass, but I could read lips well enough and I knew what they'd say. I'd read their emails about how excited they were to finally present to me personally. "So sorry we're late," Linda Chin was saying to Kristen and Brandon, her hands gesturing apologetically. "We had to finish the quarterly presentation for our CEO Amanda Foster." She wanted to review our product pipeline personally before her Monday meeting. It's a huge opportunity for us. We've been trying to get FaceTime with her for years. Robert added something and I could make out biggest career opportunity, and so excited. I watched from my series. My sister's face went through several expressions in rapid succession. Confusion first. Who was Amanda Foster? Then recognition as she processed the name. Then dawning realization, her eyes widening. Then pure horror as she understood exactly what it meant. She grabbed Brandon's arm, pulling him aside. Even from here I could see her talking frantically, gesturing. Brandon looked confused then shocked. He pulled out his phone. My phone rang. Brandonchan. I answered. Hello. Is this Amanda Foster? His voice was tight. It is. The Amanda Foster who owns Foster Technology Solutions? Yes. My sister's. You're Kristen's sister Amanda? That's correct. A long silence. She uninvited you from our engagement party because she was embarrassed by you. She did. Because you work from home doing freelance tech stuff. That's what she said. Another silence. You're the CEO of a $340 million company. You founded it when you were 23. You've been featured in Forbes, Fortune, and TechCrunch. My parents work for you. All accurate. And you were going to let her believe you were some unsuccessful freelancer? I tried to tell her about my company many times, I said calmly. Every Sunday dinner for 8 years. He never listened. She was too busy talking about her marketing manager job and how successful she was at her firm. Oh my God, he breathed. She has no idea, does she? Your parents don't know either. No one in my family knows. They decided I was a failure and stopped asking questions. Eventually, I stopped trying to correct them. My parents are about to tell everyone they work for you. They're excited about Monday's meeting. They've been talking about finally meeting the CEO all week. I know. I read their emails. Should I warn Kristen? That's up to you, Brandon. But they're about to mention it anyway. Your mother is talking to my mother right now. Through the window I watched Linda Chen chatting with my mother. I saw her mention Amanda Foster and gesture enthusiastically. My mother's smile froze. She looked confused. My phone buzzed with a call. My mother. I declined it. Another call. My father. Declined. A text from Kristen, call me right now. I texted back, I was uninvited to your party. I'm respecting your wishes by not attending. Enjoy your evening. My phone rang again. This time I answered. Amanda, what the hell? Kristen's voice was shrill. Brandon's mother just said she works for Amanda Foster at Foster Technology Solutions. She said you're her CEO. She's lying, right? Playing some weird joke. She's not lying. That's impossible. You work from home doing freelance web design or coding or whatever. I work from home because I own the company and I can work wherever I want, I interrupted. I do freelance tech consulting for Fortune 500 companies because I'm good at it and it's how I built my initial client base before founding Foster Technology Solutions. You can't. How would you even start a company? With $200,000 I'd saved from my freelance work and a business loan for another $300,000. I was 23. You were busy planning your wedding to your first husband at the time. You didn't notice. Your first husband hit like a slap. Kristen's first marriage had lasted 14 months. That company is worth hundreds of millions, Kristen said weakly. $340 million in annual revenue, I confirmed. The company itself is valued at around $2.1 billion. I own 73% of it. Do the math. Silence. Your apartment is a penthouse I own in a building I bought. The tiny apartment is 1,800 square feet with a view of the harbor. Your car is paid off and reliable. I don't need a luxury vehicle to prove anything. I'd rather invest in my business and my employees. Employees, she repeated numbly. Brandon's parents are your employees. Robert and Linda Chen. Both excellent workers. Both up for major promotions actually. Robert's being considered for executive VP, Linda for senior VP. Considered, Kristen latched onto the word. You're considering them? I said carefully. Before this evening. What does that mean? It means I'm reconsidering whether people who raised a son with such poor judgment should be in senior leadership positions. That's not fair. Brandon didn't do anything. Brandon agreed with you that I was too embarrassing to attend your engagement party, I said. He backed up your decision to exclude me because of my perceived lack of success. That shows poor character judgment. I don't want senior leaders who make decisions based on superficial appearances. You can't punish them because of me. I can do whatever I want, Kristen. I own the company. Brandon's voice came through the phone. She must have put me on speaker. Ms. Foster, please. My parents have worked at your company for 6 years. They've done nothing wrong. This is my fault, not theirs. It's both your faults, I corrected. But I appreciate you trying to take responsibility. That's more than your fiancé is doing. What do you want? Kristen asked desperately. An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't know you were rich and successful. I'm sorry I didn't take your work seriously. You're sorry you got caught, I said. That's different from being actually sorry. My mother's voice came through. Amanda, sweetheart, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. There's been no misunderstanding, Mom. Kristen told me I was too embarrassing to attend her engagement party. You and Dad agreed. Those were conscious choices based on your perception of my life. The misunderstanding is that you thought you were right about your perception. We didn't know, my mother protested. Because you never asked. 8 years, Mom. 8 years of Sunday dinners where I tried to tell you about my company, my success, my life. You talked over me every single time. You were too busy being impressed with Kristen's entry-level marketing job to notice I'd built a tech empire. Their job offers were revoked by Monday, my text to my COO read as I sat in my car. Please prepare revised promotion recommendations excluding the Chens. Move Sarah Martinez and Tom Williams into those roles instead. They've earned it. Understood, she replied. Any explanation for the change? Personal conflict of interest. I'll explain Monday. I could see the chaos inside the country club. Kristen was crying. My mother looked devastated. My father was trying to talk to Robert Chin, who looked confused and worried. Brandon stood apart from everyone on his phone, probably trying to find out everything he could about me. My phone rang again. Kristen still on speaker. Please, Brandon said. I know we made a terrible mistake, but my parents don't deserve to lose their promotions. They've worked so hard. They have worked hard, I agreed. Which is why they're keeping their current positions. They're just not getting promoted. Sarah Martinez and Tom Williams have also worked hard, and they didn't raise children who judge people by their cars and apartments. That's not fair, Kristen sobbed. Fair. I laughed, a sharp sound. You want to talk about fair? Was it fair to exclude me from your engagement party? Was it fair to tell the whole family I was an embarrassment? Was it fair to decide my life was unsuccessful without ever asking me about it? Silence. Here's what's going to happen, I said. I'm going home. You're going to finish your engagement party and think very carefully about how you treat people based on appearances. Monday morning, I'm meeting with the Chens about their quarterly presentation. They'll still have their jobs, but the promotions are off the table. For how long? Robert Chen's voice, quiet and strained. Until I'm convinced they've raised a son who values character over appearances. Could be 6 months, could be 6 years. Could be never. That's up to Brandon. How is he supposed to prove that? Linda Chen asked. That's his problem to solve, I said. Not mine. I hung up and drove home to my penthouse apartment. Monday morning, the Chens gave an excellent presentation. Their product pipeline recommendations were solid, their data impeccable. I approved their plans and thanked them for their work. Miss Foster, Robert Chin said as they were leaving. About the promotions. Off the table for now, I confirmed. Your work performance is excellent. Your judgment in your personal life needs work. When your son demonstrates that he's learned to value people for who they are rather than what they appear to be, we'll revisit the promotion discussion. How long will that take? Linda asked. As long as it takes, I said. In the meantime, I'm giving you both 5% raises to reflect your excellent work performance. The promotion isn't about your work. It's about leadership character. I need senior leaders who raise children with integrity. They nodded, understanding. After they left, my CO came in. That was generous. The raises. They're good employees, I said. They just raised a son who needs to learn some things. That's not entirely their fault, but it does reflect on their judgment. Fair enough. Also, your sister has called 6 times this morning. I'm not available. What should I tell her? Nothing. She's not a client. That evening, Brandon showed up at my building. The doorman called up. Mr. Chin is here to see you, Miss Foster. Send him away. He says it's important. About his engagement. I sighed. Fine. Send him up. Brandon looked tired when I opened the door. Thank you for seeing me. You have 5 minutes. I broke up with Kristen, he said. I blinked. Why? Because you were right. She judged you based on appearances. She was embarrassed by you without knowing anything about your actual life. And I went along with it because... He paused. Because I was too focused on what my parents would think. I valued their opinion over doing the right thing. That's unusually self-aware. I've spent the last 2 days thinking about it, he said. My parents raised me to value hard work and integrity. Then I met a woman working from home in jeans and an old car, and I judged her as unsuccessful. That's the opposite of what they taught me. So you're here to apologize and ask if there's any way my parents can earn back their promotions. Not for me, I know I screwed up. But they really do deserve them. I considered him. 6 months. Your parents stay in their current roles with their raises. In 6 months, if their performance continues to be excellent, we'll discuss promotions again. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank your parents for being good employees despite raising a son who needs to work on his judgment. He winced but nodded. Fair. And Amanda? I'm sorry. For what it's worth. Apology noted. After he left, I called my parents. Hello. My mother sounded cautious. I'm having dinner at my place this Sunday, I said. You're invited. So is Kristen if she wants to come. I'll order from the Italian place you like. Amanda, we're so sorry. Sunday at 6, I interrupted. Come or don't. Your choice. They came. All 3 of them. Kristen cried and apologized. My parents asked questions. Real questions. About my company, my life, my success. I answered honestly. Why didn't you tell us? My father asked. I tried. You didn't listen. We're listening now, my mother said. Good, I said. Better late than never. It wasn't perfect. Relationships damaged by 8 years of dismissal don't heal in one dinner. But it was a start. And the next Sunday when I talked about my company's expansion plans, they actually listened. That was worth more than any promotion I could give. The invitation had been cream-colored cardstock, heavy in my hands for approximately 40 seconds before Marcus reached across the restaurant table and plucked it back. The embossed gold lettering caught the light. Marcus Chin, 40th birthday celebration, Sapphire Island Private Resort. Nothing personal, he said, though his jaw was tight. That little tell when he's lying. Vanessa thinks the guest list needs to be more curated. Vanessa, his wife of 3 years, didn't even look up from her phone. She'd been scrolling through what appeared to be seating charts, her French manicure tapping against the screen. The restaurant smelled of truffle oil and quiet money, the kind of place where they bring you complimentary champagne just for having a reservation. Curated, I repeated, setting down my water glass carefully. The condensation left a ring on the white tablecloth. You know how it is, Marcus continued, and now he was warming to his excuse, building it in real time. This is a milestone birthday. Vanessa's parents are flying in from Singapore. My managing partners from the firm will be there. We need people who understand how to present themselves at these kinds of events. There was the thing he didn't want to say directly. I was an embarrassment. I was the sister who worked in nonprofit management, always said with slight air quotes as if it weren't a real job. The sister who drove a 6-year-old Camry. The sister who wore the same black dress to every family function because it was classic and well-made and I saw no reason to replace it. I understand, I said, and I did. I understood perfectly. My mother had called me 2 days earlier. Just go along with what Marcus wants, she'd said, her voice carrying that familiar pleading tone. He's been so stressed with the promotion. Vanessa has very specific ideas about how things should be done. You know how you can be sometimes. How I could be. Quiet, observant, unwilling to perform enthusiasm I didn't feel. I'd spent 37 years watching my family mistake my quietness for weakness, my contentment for failure. Marcus had the corner office and the German car. I had something else entirely, Something I'd built deliberately and carefully over 12 years. Something they'd never bothered to ask about. The event planner has it all handled, Vanessa said, finally looking up. Her eyes were cold and assessing. 200 guests. 7-course dinner. Fireworks at sunset. Marcus deserves something spectacular. Sapphire Island, I said neutrally. That's ambitious. It's exclusive, Marcus corrected. Took Vanessa 6 months to even get a booking. Apparently the owner is very selective about events. I took a slow sip of water. The ice clinked against the glass. Very selective, I agreed. Marcus shifted in his seat. Anyway, I hope you understand. It's not about you. It's just the optics. The optics of having your unsuccessful sister present. The optics of someone who might not know which fork to use, despite having attended enough charity galas to teach a masterclass on formal dining. The optics of failure by association. I understand completely, I said and stood. The chair made a soft sound against the floor. Enjoy your birthday, Marcus. I walked out through the restaurant, past tables of people eating $60 steaks, past the sommelier discussing wine pairings, out into the parking garage where my Camry sat between a Tesla and a Range Rover. The concrete smelled of exhaust and salt air from the nearby harbor. I sat in my car for 3 minutes, hands on the steering wheel, breathing slowly. Then I opened my property management app and scrolled to Sapphire Island Private Resort. Status. Booking pending Chin event July 15th. I tapped Review Required and added a note. Owner approval needed before contract finalization. My phone rang at 6:47 p.m. Marcus. I let it go to voicemail. He called again at 7:02 p.m. Then 7:15 p.m. Then Vanessa called. Then my mother. I was in my apartment by then, a 2-bedroom condo in a neighborhood my family considered up and coming, which meant they thought I couldn't afford better. The walls were painted soft gray. Through the window the city lights spread out like scattered diamonds. I poured a glass of wine, a very good Bordeaux from a case I'd bought at auction, and listened to the voicemails on speaker. Marcus, first message, Elena, call me back. There's some kind of issue with the island booking. The event planner is freaking out. Marcus, second message, this is serious. They're saying they need owner approval. Do you know something about this? Vanessa, breathless and angry. If you did something to sabotage Marcus's party, I swear to God. My mother, voice shaking. Elena, please. Whatever's happening, fix it. You know how important this is to Marcus. I took another sip of wine. The ghost ledger, I thought. Time to add it all up. I opened my laptop and created a new spreadsheet. Title, The Ghost Ledger, What Marcus's Birthday Cost Me. Item, Thanksgiving 2019. Event, Marcus announced his engagement to Vanessa. Spoke for 47 minutes about their future. No one asked about my job. Cost, self-worth, dignity, the belief that my achievements mattered to my family. Item, Christmas 2020. Event, Mother spent 90 minutes discussing Marcus's promotion. My nonprofit secured $4.2 million in funding that year. No one asked. Cost, the memory of that Christmas. What should have been celebration became endurance. Item, Easter 2021. Event, Marcus needed emergency loan, $35,000 for down payment gap. Paid him from my personal account. He said, I'll pay you back when I get my bonus. Cost, $35,000 plus the bonus he never mentioned again. Also, the knowledge that my help would be forgotten. Item, Mother's Birthday 2022. Event, Marcus gave her a spa weekend. I gave her a framed photo. She cried over his gift. Said mine was thoughtful in that tone people use when they mean inadequate. Cost, 4 hours choosing that frame. The hope that effort might equal value in her eyes. Wrong. Item, Weekly Sunday Dinners 2019 to 2024. Event, every week discussions of Marcus's cases, Marcus's clients, Marcus's victories. My work dismissed as charity stuff. Cost, 260 dinners. Approximately 520 hours. The accumulated weight of invisible labor, emotional performance swallowed corrections. Item, Family Photo 2023. Event, Vanessa insisted on professional photographer. Made me stand in back because my dress didn't photograph well. Cost, Literal physical space. The visual representation that I was background, not family. The math was clear. The account had been overdraft for years. My phone rang again. This time I answered. Elena. Marcus's voice was strained. What the hell is going on? I'm not sure what you mean, I said, taking another sip of wine. Through the phone I could hear Vanessa in the background, her voice sharp and escalating. The event planner called. Sapphire Island needs owner approval for our event. She said. He stopped. She said the owner is named Martinez. Like you. Martinez is a common name, I said mildly. Elena. A long pause. Do you own Sapphire Island? I looked at my laptop screen at the spreadsheet documenting years of dismissal. At the column titled Balance Due, that could never really be paid. I've owned Sapphire Island for 8 years, I said. Purchased it in 2016 when I was 30. The resort was failing. I restructured it, brought in new management, rebuilt the brand. It's now valued at $14.7 million and books 3 years in advance for most dates. Silence. Complete absolute silence. But you work in nonprofits. I run the Taurus Foundation, I said. We provide housing and job training for formerly incarcerated individuals. Last year we helped 847 people. Our operating budget is $6.2 million annually. I also own 17 residential properties for commercial buildings in Sapphire Island. The nonprofit is my purpose. The rest is my portfolio. More silence. I could hear him breathing. I bought the Camry because it's reliable and I don't care about cars, I continued. I wear the same dress because I spent my money on assets instead of appearances. I live in an up-and-coming neighborhood because I bought the building in 2018 and I'm watching my investment appreciate. I don't talk about my work at family dinners because no one ever asks. I didn't know, Marcus said, and his voice had gone small. You didn't want to know, I corrected gently. There's a difference. You needed me to be unsuccessful so you could be the successful one. You needed my failure as contrast for your achievement. It was easier than considering that maybe we'd both done well, just differently. Elena, About your birthday party, I said, cutting him off. I'll need to review the full event proposal before approving use of my property. Please have your planner send me the complete contract, including your insurance certificate, guest list, and catering plans. I'll need 72 hours for review. 72 hours? The party is in 9 days. Yes, I said. That does make timing tight. I could hear Vanessa in the background. Tell her we'll pay extra. Tell her we'll double the rental fee. The standard rental fee is $45,000 for a private event, I said. That includes the island, the resort facilities, and base staffing. Your event, as planned, would run approximately $120,000 with catering, entertainment, and the fireworks display. I assume Vanessa mentioned these costs. We have the money, Marcus said defensively. I'm sure you do. But that's not really the question, is it? The question is whether I approve your use of my property for an event I'm not invited to attend. The words hung in the air. I heard Vanessa gasp. Heard my brother's breath catch. You can't be serious, Marcus said. You'd really hold my birthday party hostage because you're upset about the invitation? I'm not holding anything hostage, I said calmly. I'm following my standard approval process. All event requests require owner review. I'm simply being very selective, as you mentioned. The owner is very selective about events. Elena, please. I'll review your proposal, I said. Send me the complete documentation. I'll let you know my decision. I hung up. The next 72 hours were instructive. My phone exploded. 27 calls from Marcus. 15 from Vanessa. 32 from my mother, who progressed from pleading to angry to desperate. 6 from my father, who I hadn't heard from in 3 years except for birthday texts. The voicemails were a progression study in entitlement. Hour 1. Elena, this is just a misunderstanding. Of course you're invited. I'll have Vanessa send a new invitation right away. Hour 8. You're being completely unreasonable. This is Marcus's milestone birthday. You're seriously going to ruin it over your hurt feelings. Hour 24. I've spoken to a lawyer. You can't just refuse a booking for personal reasons. That's discrimination. Hour 48. Please. I'm begging you. Vanessa's parents are already on their way from Singapore. We've sent out 200 invitations. Everyone knows about this party. Please don't humiliate us. Hour 72. Complete silence. A single text from my mother. How much do you want? I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I spent those 72 hours very productively. I contacted my property attorney and had her review the booking contract. I consulted with my property manager about alternative dates. I reviewed similar cases where private property owners had declined events. And I thought about the gambler's fallacy. I'd learned about it in an economics class years ago. The idea that if you keep playing, keep feeding coins into the machine, eventually you'll hit the jackpot. That past investment justifies future investment. That sunk cost should determine present action. I'd been playing my family like a slot machine for 37 years. Putting in effort, achievement, patience, love, feeding the machine, waiting for the jackpot of acknowledgement. Of being seen. Of mattering. The machine was never going to pay out. On the evening of hour 72, I sent an email to Marcus's event planner. After careful review, I must decline to host the July 15th event at Sapphire Island. The property is not available for this booking. Please seek alternative venues. Sincerely, Elena Martinez, owner. Marcus showed up at my building 23 minutes later. The doorman called up. Ms. Martinez, you have a visitor who seems quite agitated. Please tell him I'm not available, I said. He's insisting. Thomas, I said gently, please tell him I'm not available. If he doesn't leave voluntarily, call the police for trespassing. Marcus left. But the next morning my entire family appeared at my apartment door. Mother, father, Marcus, Vanessa. All four of them looking exhausted and desperate. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. We need to talk, my father said. He'd aged since I'd last seen him. Gray at the temples, lines around his mouth. I don't think we do, I said. Elena, please, my mother said. You've made your point. You're successful, we get it. You don't have to punish Marcus for one mistake. One mistake, I repeated. Is that what you think this is about? You're being vindictive, Vanessa said. Her voice shook with rage. You're sabotaging Marcus's party because you're jealous that he's actually made something of his life. I looked at her. Really looked at her. The designer handbag. The jewelry that cost more than most people's monthly rent. The absolute certainty in her eyes that she was right. I'm not being vindictive, I said quietly. I'm being realistic. You asked me to stay away from Marcus's party because I'm an embarrassment. I'm simply honoring that request by ensuring my property isn't used for an event where I'm not welcome. This is consistency, not revenge. We'll invite you, Marcus said desperately. You can come. Front row seat, I promise. No, I said simply. I don't want to come to your party, Marcus. I don't want to stand in the corner while people ask me what I do and then lose interest. I don't want to smile while you make toasts about success and achievement and family. I don't want to be there. Then what do you want? My mother asked, and she was crying now. What will make this right? Nothing, I said. There's nothing you can do to make this right because this isn't about Marcus's party. This is about 37 years of being invisible. This is about every Sunday dinner where no one asked about my work. Every holiday where my achievements were acknowledged with, "That's nice," before pivoting to Marcus. Every time you needed money or help or emotional support and I provided it and was never thanked. This is about the ghost ledger, and the balance due is far more than you could ever pay. We didn't know you felt this way, my father said. You didn't ask, I replied. And that's the entire point. I closed the door. Marcus ended up booking a hotel ballroom in the city. The party went on as planned, though I heard through a mutual acquaintance that the optics were disappointing. A hotel instead of a private island. The kind of venue anyone could book if they had the money. 6 months later, I'm sitting on the deck of Sapphire Island, watching the sunset paint the water in shades of amber and rose. The resort is fully booked for the next 3 years. My foundation just secured an additional $2.3 million in grants. My property portfolio is performing exactly as projected. My phone hasn't rung with a family call in 5 months. No Sunday dinner invitations. No holiday texts. No emergency loan requests. The silence feels different now. Doesn't feel like being ignored. It feels like peace. I've learned something important about revenge. It isn't rage screamed across a room. It isn't dramatic confrontation or elaborate schemes. Revenge is simply the moment you stop subsidizing someone else's narrative about who you are. The moment you reclaim your own story and let them live in the consequences of their assumptions. Marcus needed me to be unsuccessful. I let him believe it for years because correcting him felt like proving something, and I was tired of proving things. But when he tried to erase me completely from his celebration of success built partially on money I'd loaned him and emotional labor I'd provided, he forced a choice. I chose myself. The account is closed. The balance is zero. And I am finally in the black.